Have you ever been pouring your heart out to your partner only to be met with complete silence? That moment when their eyes glaze over, their face goes blank, and suddenly you're talking to a brick wall. That's stonewalling. And if you've ever experienced it, you know how painfully isolating it feels to be emotionally shut out by the person you love most. I remember one night early in my marriage when I was trying to talk to my husband about feeling disconnected. Mid sentence, he just disappeared. His body was there, but he was gone. That deafening silence left me feeling more alone than if I'd been actually by myself. Maybe you've been there too. Standing in your living room, your words hanging in the air, wondering why the person who promised to always be there for you can't even look at you. Here's what I've learned after years of research and personal experience. When your partner stonewalls, it's not about you. That shutdown response comes from deep places of fear and self-protection. And the way most of us instinctively react, by chasing, criticizing, or pleading, actually makes it worse. Today, I'm going to share exactly why avoidant partners stonewall, what's happening in their nervous system when they shut down, and most importantly, how to respond in ways that create safety instead of more walls. Because that husband who couldn't hear me that night, he's sitting right here helping me film this, proof that this pattern can be broken. Stonewalling isn't just taking a breather during an argument, it's a complete emotional shutdown. Imagine trying to talk to someone and instead of responding, they freeze. Their face goes blank. Their eyes avoid yours. They might physically leave the room or just mentally check out, leaving you talking to a wall. This isn't just silence. It's a total withdrawal from connection. You know that sinking feeling when you're pouring your heart out, only to be met with nothing? No nod. No, I hear you. Not even an angry response. Just emptiness. That's the hallmark of stonewalling. It's not just frustrating, it's deeply painful because it sends the message. You don't matter enough to even acknowledge. But here's what most people misunderstand. Stonewalling isn't always intentional. Many avoidant partners don't choose to shut down. Their nervous system does it for them. When conflict gets too intense, their brain flips into survival mode, like a circuit breaker tripping to prevent an overload. They're not ignoring you, they're emotionally paralyzed. The problem? Even if it's not malicious, the impact is still devastating. Research shows that stonewalling is one of the most toxic patterns in relationships, not just because it kills communication, but because it erodes trust over time. When one partner consistently withdraws, the other starts to believe, why bother speaking up? They'll just disappear again. So, if stonewalling is so destructive, why do people do it? And more importantly, how can you respond in a way that actually helps rather than makes it worse? That's exactly what we're diving into next. The science behind stonewalling. What's really happening when your partner shuts down during conflict? Relationship researcher Dr. John Gottman, after studying thousands of couples, identified stonewalling as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The 4 most destructive behaviors that predict divorce with over 90% accuracy. But here's the crucial insight most people miss. Stonewalling isn't simply your partner being cold or indifferent. It's actually a biological panic response. When conflict escalates, some people's nervous systems become so overwhelmed that they literally short-circuit. Their heart rate may spike above 100 beats per minute, triggering what scientists call emotional flooding. At this point, the thinking part of their brain, The prefrontal cortex essentially goes offline, while the survival part, the amygdala, takes over. This isn't a choice. It's an automatic physiological reaction, much like freezing when encountering a predator. This explains why, in the heat of an argument, your partner might suddenly go completely silent, unable to form words, appear zoned out or disconnected, physically leave the situation without explanation, later claim they couldn't think straight. Their nervous system has essentially hit an emergency brake to protect them from what it perceives as a threat, even if that threat is just an emotional conversation. This response often stems from childhood experiences where conflict was dangerous or overwhelming, wiring their brain to associate intense discussions with survival situations. Understanding this biological basis changes everything. It means stonewalling isn't personal. It's not about you. Pushing harder when someone is flooded makes it worse. There are specific techniques to prevent and recover from shutdowns. The key insight? When your partner stonewalls, they're not giving you the silent treatment. They're in emotional survival mode. And just like you wouldn't yell at a deer frozen in headlights, certain approaches can help bring them back to safety and connection. Let me share a story that reveals what's really happening beneath the surface when partners stonewall. Meet Sarah and David, a couple caught in a painful cycle. Every time Sarah came home to find chores undone, she'd exclaim in frustration, "Why are you so lazy? You never help around here." And like clockwork, David would shut down completely. Blank stare, no response, sometimes even leaving the room. In our therapy sessions, we discovered something profound. When Sarah said lazy, David didn't just hear a complaint about housework. That single word transported him back to his childhood kitchen, where his alcoholic father would scream, "Useless," while smashing bottles against the wall. The 8-year-old David who froze in terror at those moments was still living inside the 35-year-old David. This is the hidden reality of stonewalling. What looks like indifference is often a trauma response. The avoidant partner isn't choosing to withdraw. They're instinctively protecting themselves from emotional pain that feels life-threatening. Their nervous system registers certain tones, words, or situations as dangerous based on past wounds. Triggering: 1. A shame avalanche. Criticism, even mild, feels like confirmation of their deepest fears of being inadequate. 2. Emotional flashbacks. Current conflict activates memories of past trauma. 3. Freeze response. Their brain's survival mechanism takes over, shutting down communication. For David, Sarah's frustration unintentionally reopened childhood wounds where love felt conditional and mistakes meant explosive rage. His stonewalling wasn't rejection of Sarah. It was a desperate attempt to avoid re-experiencing that old pain. The breakthrough came when Sarah learned to say, "I'm feeling overwhelmed by the housework. Could we figure out a better system together?" This approach avoided triggering words while still addressing the issue. For his part, David worked on recognizing when he was flashing back to childhood rather than responding to present reality. Most stonewalling stems from these hidden emotional landmines. Common triggers include raised voices associated with past abuse, certain critical phrases that echo painful childhood messages, feelings of being controlled or trapped, fear of failing or disappointing their partner. The path forward requires both partners to understand. When your avoidant partner shuts down, they're not abandoning you. They're trying to survive emotional pain they don't know how to process. Healing begins when we stop taking the withdrawal personally and start creating safety together. How to respond without escalating. When faced with a stonewalling partner, our instinctive reactions often make the situation worse without realizing it. Yelling, "Stop giving me the silent treatment," might feel justified in the moment, but it only pours gasoline on the fire by triggering deeper shame. Giving them the same cold shoulder in return creates emotional distance that's hard to bridge later. And pleading for them to engage, while understandable, unfortunately reinforces the unhealthy dynamic by rewarding their withdrawal with attention. The key is responding in ways that de-escalate rather than intensify the emotional storm. Start by gently naming what you're observing without accusation. "I notice you've gone quiet. Are you feeling overwhelmed right now?" This simple observation, delivered softly, helps your partner feel seen rather than attacked. It creates an opening for connection instead of confrontation. When you sense the stonewalling is severe, propose a structured pause. "Let's take 20 minutes to calm our bodies, then come back to this." "I'm not going anywhere. We'll work through this together." This approach works because it honors their need for space while removing the fear of abandonment that often underlies stonewalling. The reassurance that you'll reconnect prevents the break from feeling like punishment. Most importantly, lead with validation before addressing the issue. "I can see this conversation feels really intense right now. It's okay to need some space. I get it." This type of emotional atonement helps regulate their nervous system by communicating that their feelings matter, even when you disagree. When people feel emotionally safe, their defenses naturally lower. These responses work because they avoid triggering additional shame, create safety through predictability, honor both people's needs, keep the door open for future repair. Remember, the goal isn't to force immediate communication, but to create conditions where healthy dialogue becomes possible again. With practice, these strategies can transform stonewalling from a relationship crisis into an opportunity for deeper understanding. The breakthrough strategy. You know what finally broke our stonewalling cycle? We invented what we jokingly call our emotional safe word. For us, it's bear trap. When my husband says that, it means his nervous system is flooding and he's about to shut down. Here's why this simple tool works so well. It gives him a dignified way to communicate overwhelm without retreating. It instantly alerts me to shift my approach before the wall goes up. It transforms the dynamic from adversarial to collaborative. When I hear bear trap, I immediately lower my voice to a calmer register. Sit down to appear less threatening. Ask, "What would help you right now?" Instead of pushing forward, the magic is in the prearranged agreement. We created this during a calm moment, not in the heat of conflict. We brainstormed physical cues too, like a hand signal for when words are too hard. Within 6 months, our marathon standoffs reduced from 3 hours of icy silence to 20-minute repairs. That's the power of having a plan before you need it. Here's your mission this week. Have what we call a peacetime conversation. Pick a relaxed moment when you're both calm and say something like, "Hey, I was thinking about how we handle tough conversations. Next time either of us starts feeling overwhelmed during an argument, what could we do or say that would help? I want us both to feel safe." That one conversation could save you years of frustration. If you're ready to try this, drop a heart in the comments. I'll respond with personalized scripts for your situation. And if this video resonated with you, share it with someone who's ever felt the ache of talking to a wall. Because everyone deserves to be heard.